One of the things I've learned over these last 35 years or so is that you have to have patience and perseverance in life. Something I never had too much of. I'd get bored with things or want to move on to something different. And the result was that my life was usually in some sort of turmoil. So over the years, I've learned to just sort of take it easy and to not be in such a stew all the time looking for something different, new, or exciting in my life. Now that sounds pretty boring, but I think if you pay attention to any 12-step group, and one of their principal beliefs is that in order to deal with some addiction, you have to come to understand that you can't do that on your own. And despite all the self-help gurus in the world, you just can't. You've tried and tried and tried. And you have to realize that there must be some power greater than yourself that can do it. And so the principle of the 12-step group is that you have to make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of that power, who I and most others choose to call God, and that your whole ability to do so is contingent on having a daily reprieve depending on your fit spiritual condition. So you sort of wonder, what is a fit spiritual condition? Well, let me give you some examples that came up today in my readings. First was the reading about Solomon. You know, Solomon was the son of David and a great king of the Jews, and he was asked God for the gift of wisdom, and so he was, supposed to have this great wisdom and great closeness to God. But as he grew older, his wives and concubines began to have more influence on him than God did. And so he began to construct a bunch of temples worshiping all of these false gods that his wives believed in. So the result was he fell out of God's favor. But the point is that he didn't maintain a fit spiritual condition. He wandered away from God and became dependent on more temporal things. And that's easy to do. I've often thought that that this world would be, this world is difficult to deal with because it constantly seems to interfere with my ability to maintain a relationship with God. There are annoying other people. There are circumstances that I think are just terribly unfair and unjust, and all kinds of things that'll keep me upset and in turmoil and not in a state of calm or peace that I think God intends for me. I think God does, in fact, intend for me to be happy, joyous, and free. But I tend to make myself a slave to all kinds of emotional turmoil and things that come about because I live in this world and I'm a human being. So this whole idea of maintaining a fit spiritual condition is pretty important and pretty difficult, for me at least. Another example I got was a friend of mine and I are reading Screwtape letters. Last night in chapter 28, Screwtape, who's a senior demon who is instructing his nephew, Wormwood, who is trying to gain a soul for the father, who is the devil, was chastised by Screwtape because he said, you're hopeful that he's going to get killed in the war. I guess this was the First World War. You don't want that, he said, because right now he's with this young woman who's a Christian, and he's got a lot of Christian friends, and he's going to church. He said, you don't want him to die now, because if you do, he's going to go to the enemy being God. So he said, what you've got to do is keep him alive and get to the Middle Ages, because if he gets to middle-aged, then, he said, like most humans, he'll have trouble persevering in his faith. And then he becomes subject to our temptations. And then we can claim him for our father, the devil. So, I read that, and my friend and I both chuckled because we really could identify with it. Now, he's a little younger than me, but he's not that much younger, and we both either are or have gone through our middle ages already. Both of us are divorced. I've remarried, he hasn't. Both of us have created all kinds of turmoil in our life and still do. And we just had to laugh at C.S. Lewis's wisdom and that he portrays over and over again in this wonderful book, Screw Tape Letters. So maintaining a fit spiritual condition is really what I think a spiritual journey is all about. And it's not an even journey. It's one that has ups and downs and, triumphs and failures and all kinds of things. I wish it were a nice, easy road to follow, but it's not. But that's life. And I think, for me, maintaining a fit spiritual condition is greatly dependent on taking time each and every day to sit and be quiet and just be with the Holy Spirit. Allow the Holy Spirit to come into me and to help me and to direct me. If I get so busy and so involved in so many different things that I don't take time to do that, I'll start slipping. I do every time. And it's not good. Peace and calmness that I feel when I do take time, like right now, it's just unbelievably good. And those other times of turmoil and upset and anger are not good. So I hope that you take time to maintain your fit spiritual condition, that you stay close to the God of your understanding, that you take time not only to pray, but to listen. Listening is probably more important than prayer. Prayer is telling God what I want. Listening is to what He wants. And I'd much rather know what He wants. And that's how I find out through meditation. I find out by being quiet and wiping the slate clean and just letting these thoughts come into me rather than me always clamoring for something else that I want in my life. It's one day at a time, maintaining a fit spiritual condition, and ultimately knowing the peace that does surpass all understanding, a peace that only God can give, to me anyway. And I hope that you find that peace in your life as well.